everybody, Happy New Year. Hope you're doing well. Hope your New Year's resolutions are still sticking, and whatever your goals and dreams are this year, you happen to find them. So, this year, it's the channel's first year starting January 1. We did start this in the middle of last year. So, I'm going to take a little bit different of an approach this year. Large amount of it is based on this article by Dylan Donegan on Star City Games. I'm going to link the article description on YouTube whenever this particular part of the video goes up. So, I've noticed a lot of talk about I don't play this deck well, or I don't play that deck well, or, mistakes were made, this, that, and the other thing. There's a lot of mistakes I notice when I'm playing, going back and watching on YouTube. So, need to find a way to correct that if I want to be a better Magic player, if I want to start competing at higher levels. This article by Dylan Donegan about 2 weeks ago basically boils down to, in Modern, the theory of he's been known for playing Grixis Shadow, and he's looking to kind of spread his knowledge of the format to other decks. That way, as the format is churning, if Grixis Shadow isn't well positioned, he can move on to other decks. And the three deck archetypes he talks about basically are the linear aggro strategies, the dedicated combo decks, and the mid-range-ish control decks. I'm going to spread that into a more broad topic of linear aggro, combo / ramp, and mid-range control decks. So what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, months, however long it takes, is particularly in Modern, while the rotation or the new set's starting to come out in Standard, we're going to be starting to look for what decks that suit my style. What decks do I play well? What decks do I feel solid with? Not just, I'm playing the top deck because it's the top deck. So, with that in mind, we're going to start with the linear aggro decks. In particular, I'm going to start with Boros Burn. This is a deck that most of my success in Paper Magic last year was Boros Burn. So my build is a little bit different from the traditional builds in that I eschew the green splash entirely. A lot of the decks that I've run into problems with at times with Burn, they're attacking you with things like Ghost Quarter and such in the matchups where you want Destructive Revelry, or they're playing Blood Moon. So Destructive Revelry just isn't reliable in those situations. Whereas you could easily have one white mana open if you're expecting like a turn 2 Blood Moon from Ponza. So Wear Tear, while it doesn't deal damage, is a little more flexible in terms of me having better mana. Beyond that, this is a list that I've kind of tuned over many months, although I haven't picked up Burn much lately. This is a deck that I have a lot of familiarity with. I played it in a PPTQ last year, got to the finals before scooping to somebody who was actually going to be able to go to the RPTQ. It was like a 90-plus person tournament. I played in a local IQ event for a local game shop and top forward before losing the Burn Mirror. And then I've also played it in competitive leagues previously on the channel. Done quite well with it. So this is a deck I have a lot of familiarity with. It's a deck that will be on my short list of decks to play like throughout time. I think Burn is very well positioned. Obviously, every deck has bad matchups, but I think Burn's bad matchups are like Soul Sisters and decks with a lot of life gain. Burn's bad matchups are more about cards than a particular deck archetype. And right now, I don't think the cards that are seeing a lot of play for Burn are horrendous. Like, you'll see Obstinate Balos, you'll see Thragtusks, you'll see Kitchen Finxes. You'll see occasionally cards like Core Firewalker. Leyline Sanctity is pretty close to an all-time low right now. There's probably only 2 or 3 decks that consistently play it. So Burn overall it's a pretty solid turn 4 deck. My particular build, like I said, is just Boros. There's no green for Destructive Revelry. Have your usual 12 creature spread, you know, your 4 Goblin Guide, your 4 Swift Spear, your 4 Eidolon. And then it's just a bunch of 4-ofs. You've got Lava Spike, Bolt, Skullcrax, Searing Blaze, Boros Charm, Lightning Helix, and Riftbolt. As far as the sideboard, I have a couple core Firewalkers. In my local meta, I tend to play 3, but here on Magic Online, I don't think I'm going to be seeing a ton of Burn. So I'm only playing 2. I play 4 Path to Exile, because the decks that I generally want to hit with this are the Abzan, Jund, Death Shadow decks, where I want to take out their first big threat and buy myself another turn or 2. Often if you can kill Death Shadow's first creature or 2, then it buys you a lot of time to play your burn spells out. And then Searing Blood and Lava Man against the smaller creature decks like Affinity or the Collected Company decks, particularly Counters Company. Exquisitive Firecraft, I often bring this in against both Control with their counter spells and Death Shadow, because if you can get Death Shadow down to 4 mana and they're relying, or 4 life, and they're relying on a Stubborn Denial to finish you off, or to hold you from killing them that last turn, sometimes either peeling or playing just an Exquisitive Firecraft can just kill them. And then Wear Tear is our anti-artifact, anti-Leyline of Sanctity, anti-Blood Moon, well, to a lesser extent, Ensnaring Bridge tech. I realize this is giving up damage, but I like the cleaner mana base. I'm able to play the full 4 Inspiring Vantage. I only play 10 fetches because I like to have 3 basic mountains for Ghost Quarter decks and Path to Exile decks, and I also like to run the full 3 Sacred Foundries, as opposed to like going like 2 Sacred Foundry, 2 Mountain, 1 Stomping Ground. A lot of the burn decks tend to run. So that being said, we're going to jump into a friendly league here. In this series, what we're going to be trying to do is I'm going to take 1 deck of each category, 1 linear aggro deck, 1 mid-range deck, and 1 combo/ramp deck to be kind of our core decks. And then we're going to have 2 wildcard decks that we're going to keep up to date. So in the end, we're going to have like 5 modern decks that end up being like the core of decks that I'm going to get to know and play. I'm going to go through like Burn, 5-color humans, Merfolk, Affinity, all of the classic aggro archetypes to see if there's one that maybe catches my eye that will play a little bit more. But I tend, just biasedly going to say that Burn's probably going to end up being the linear aggro deck of the channel, just because I have so much experience with it and I've had quite a bit of success with it. It's an archetype that I tend to play fairly well, and I mean, it's Burn. A lot of people are going to say, oh, you're just a silly Burn player, but you know, if the deck's good, the deck's good. So that being said, we're going to hop into just a friendly league today. I'm not feeling the extremely high risk, high reward competitive league tonight. So, how's everyone doing? Hope you're having a great new year. Both people watching this on Twitch now and people catching this later on YouTube. My name is Dusk, or Duskblader, here on the channel. This is MTGO Tavern here on Twitch, and Dusk Till Dawn Gaming over on YouTube. So I think I've pretty much covered everything with a deck today. Alright, cool. We're going to be getting into a fast match. Another thing about Burn, you can generally play Burn pretty quickly through leagues, so wish our opponent good luck. That being said, this hand's just unacceptable. 4 lands is just too much. 2 lands, this hand isn't ideal, but it's still pretty good for a 6, so we're going to go ahead and keep it. I think we'll keep Helix on top. Humans. Well, this will be fun. Now, I have played this match from the human side, and it doesn't feel like this is a particularly good match for Burn, admittedly. So, something to keep in mind. See if they play like a meddling mage here or something. Yeah, it looks like that's what they're doing. Sure. On Rift Bolt. It's one of the annoying parts about the humans deck. So, I can't cast the Rift Bolt. This is one of the risks of this particular hand. The question is, am I supposed to go after... I think I'm just supposed to go after their mana here. They don't play a lot of lands, so this might slow down their development a little bit. Mayor of Aberbrook, sure. That said, I think we're losing this race, so... especially as we keep drawing lands. So what is the play here? I could Helix, Mayor. Eidolon just feels so bad here, because if they have something like Reflector Mage or something, I think we're just going to have to Helix here. And this is the kind of matchup that could get us into trouble. Like, I think on the play with like an aggressive draw, it's a lot better. But this just... see if they fetch a blue source here. See if they're kind of like a Phantasmal Image deck or something. Yep. Mayor flips. Opponent is going to attacks here. Don't need that Howlpack Alpha churning out wolves. This is one of the drawbacks of playing Burn, is when you're getting into an attrition type matchup, like where you're having to... okay. These meddling mages are getting slightly annoying. Lightning Bolt, alright. Boros Charm. Probably should have fetched here on end step. There's a good chance this is going to get Reflector Mage and we're just going to kind of hate our lives, but otherwise I'm just going to trade this off. Yep, here comes a freaking Reflector Mage. Which normally Reflector Mage is kind of a garbage card in this matchup, but in this particular spot it's pretty decent. So right now we have 7 points of burn in hand. I think we're just going to fetch our basic mountains here. Now I am giving up the possibility of drawing Searing Blazes out, but I need to get these spells out of my hand. So, just going to Skull Crack them. We're at the point where we can no longer control the board, so we just kind of have to hope to draw. Yeah, and see them cutting us off with cards here. You can drop them to 7, but we can't cast Rift Bolt. So we're just dead in a couple of turns. Alright, so play versus draw, this can be somewhat relevant. We probably want Searing Blazes. We probably want the Lava Mans. So, cards that are Spike and Boros Charm don't interact with their creatures at all. They don't tend to have a lot of life gain, so Skullcrack might be the cut. Just from trying to think of what life gain they would have. Humans doesn't tend to play much life gain, so I think on the draw, I'm just going to get these Skullcracks out for the Lava Mans and the Searing Bloods. There's some consideration for Path Exile, but I think I'm more likely to bring that in on the draw when I'm playing more of the control role. Hopefully we'll get a good 7 and we won't have to mulligan here. Yeah, I mean, it's a little risky. Ideally would like one less land and one more spell, but I'm not going to mulligan a 3-lander. A 4-lander is usually a pitch. 3-landers usually aren't. So we get to go Riftbolt into Eidolon here. Get the Sacred Foundry. And our opponent can't take us off of that this time, so. Alright, so there comes Noble. Riftbolt's going to the face. The question becomes, do I want to play Eidolon here? Or do I want to risk them having a Reflector Mage? I think because they're on the mulligan, I'm going to go ahead and play out Eidolon here. There's a chance we should blaze this, but I'm interested in maximizing damage output here. Please don't have freaking Reflector Mage again. Oh, this is looking like Mantis Rider. Yep, Mantis Rider's a pretty good threat, especially since they get to knock us for 4 here. And something that's not a land, please. Alright, Swift Spear. So we go to 8 here? Alright, so going to 9, going to 7. Get to prowess it up. Opponent gets put to 8. Alright. Here comes another Manus Rider, which will put us to 3. Opponent goes to 6. See what we draw here. Another mountain, huh? So the problem here is if I bolt, I go to 1. So I can kill the Manus Rider, but if they have another Manus Rider, I'm just pretty much dead here. So I can put them to 2. Actually, I can't because then I'm just dead on board. So I have to bolt this Manus Rider, swing in with Swift Spear, drop them to 4, and pray pretty much. Alright, see what you got, opponent. Reflector Mage or Manus Rider, and we're dead. Thalia. So now we both go to 2. What on earth is going on here? Magic Online. Stop being dumb, please. Magic Online. Stop being dumb, please. Alright. Bizarro Land, Magic Online. Gotta love it. Come on. Alright. So now we're both in kind of a weird... Burn spell, please. Goblin God. So now we sit here and stare at each other for a while. Oh dear. This is gonna be a fun game. Oh, wow. Just wow. Alright, so if we were to attack here, our opponent could... Yeah, we're both stuck in this weird holding pattern. Oh, wow. Hmm. Hmm. This is fun magic. Actually, I'm an idiot, so I could have won this match like multiple turns ago. So my opponent has to block here. So now they can theoretically... Are they going to attack here? Probably not. Okay. So now you just die? Since you can't play anything? Should have figured out this line before. And... Yep. Alright. That game should have been over several turns before then, but I just wasn't thinking that our opponent couldn't afford for us to... Alright, now the question on the draw is, do I want Path to Exile in the deck over something like Lava Spike? I'm thinking the answer is yes. I need to be able to answer all of their annoying creatures. I need to be able to answer Thalia. I need to be able to answer Meddling Mage. I need to be able to answer anything that hits creatures here. Actually, I probably should have taken Eidolon out of the deck. So we have 3 cards in our hand we can't cast, and a couple of cards that I really like in the matchup. So I think we'll keep it on the off chance. Do you seriously have... Okay, no, this is Champion of the Parish this time. Alright, Goblin Guide. Goblin Guide's not the best here, but at least it's a turn 1 play. See what they reveal here. Kite Sail Freebooter. Freebooter is going to be slightly annoying. Oh. Are they stuck on 1 land? Seems to me like they are. Alright, so that allows us to get our... Fortunately, they hit a land here. But it will damage them, so... Freebooter... What does Freebooter take here? Path Exile, maybe? Yep, take whatever you wish, friend. Alright. Alright, so... This is actually going to be quite a... I mean, it sucks that we're taking this much damage, but... Path this. Hopefully they don't have a second basic land in their deck. Unfortunately, they do. That's kind of unusual for the humans deck as it is. They got a Temple Garden, which they can't really afford to play. Humans doing human things. I think we're going to restart Magic Online after this just because of that little hiccup spike. Green. Okay. Dahlia's Lieutenant? Or Meddling Mage? This look like... Okay, Meddling Mage on what, though? Boros Charm, probably? Lightning Helix, interesting. Alright, well, let's attack with Goblin God. They see another land on top. Suspend Roof Bolt and pass. Then we have Path to Exile during their in response to the Roof Bolt trigger if they have like another Meddling Mage. What have you got, opponents? Alright, there's that we know about. Alright, why would you... Oh, they are a collected company deck. Alright. I think in response I just Boros Charm here. That explains the slightly weird mana base from our opponent. Mantis Rider, Mayor of Averbrook. Okay. So you get to hit for 7, and then you're dead during my upkeep. Seems legit. Alright, and we get the match. Alright, well, I'm going to restart Moto here quick because we seem to have a bit of a issue there with some lag out. Close this, restart Magic Online. Excuse me. That's just another example of why I like the sideboard as it's constituted right now. The decks in the past that have given me a lot of trouble in the Burn deck are the small mana aggressive decks or small mana combo decks like Affinity, Humans, Counters Company. So my sideboard is often slanted towards stopping those decks in particular. Because Control, Grixis Shadow, a lot of the mid-range and ramp decks, you're already pretty favored against. And Dredge, you can generally race Dredge as long as they don't have either their Nut Draw or the flashback gain 3 life per creature in your graveyard spell. So generally speaking, I like to hedge more towards a wider swath of the field that I know is going to be a problem. And play draw strategy can matter a lot in the matchups. So, on the play, I like to be the aggressor with, Goblin Guide, Swift Spear. I probably should have boarded out the Eidolons on the draw. It's one of the tactics I usually do, especially against a deck like Humans. If they wouldn't have stumbled there, Eidolon would have been a very bad top deck. And generally, you just want to be pressuring their life total as much as possible, because their creatures are better than yours. So you just want to end the game as quickly and fluidly as possible. It's Magic Online letting us know we're going to see our deck here in a minute. Maybe. Alright, there we go. Alright, so, like I said, beyond that, the Searing Blazes, the Searing Bloods, the Grim Lava Mans are generally pretty good in that matchup. Path comes in as a hedge because sometimes they're guys like Champion of the Parish and Thalia's Lieutenant get out of range of the burn spells. So, and obviously with Thalia, I don't want to be bringing in things like Exquisitive Firecraft. I don't want to be paying 4 mana for spells. So mana efficiency is a thing, and generally when I'm on the control plane, I tend to board out some amount of the only direct damage spells, like Lava Spike or Boros Charm. Skullcrack, if I'm not expecting life gain out of my opponent. Guess I'd like to play first. Generally where Burn wants to be. Yeah. This is one of those Burn hands that you... It's almost the perfect Burn hand. Alright, Inspiring Vantage, Goblin Guide. Time for the beatdowns to begin. So obviously, depending on what our opponent does, Our draw here is Goblin Guide on 1. See what this tells us about their deck. Ah. Huh. So this is a matchup that I have traditionally thought is not good for Burn, but I had a friend of mine who... This is where having the extra core Firewalkers would have been nice too in the sideboard, but can only do so much, right? Yep, Foundry Street. Alright, so our opponent is Goblins. I'm gonna say, like, our ideal draw here would have been something like Eidolon. Eidolon's just so bad for the Goblins deck. So here we're just gonna go Swift Spear, Lava Spike. If our opponent chooses not to block, then they're taking a bunch of damage. Going to 15 here. Then if they choose not to block, they go to 11. What is your reveal, friend? Mog War Marshal. It's about their best play next turn. Because they'll get to hit us for 3, and then as long as they have a mountain, they basically get a free chumper here. I was gonna say, if it's anything other than War Marshal, I'd be surprised. Yep, here comes Foundry Street. Plus to 16. We're at effective 15 with the fetch land. Our opponent doesn't deal damage to themselves, which is unfortunate. Alright, Boros Charm's not a horrible draw here. I'm just going to go ahead and spike them. So opponent's in an effective 1. There's not too much they can have here that I'm afraid of. I'm trying to think what's like the worst case scenario here. And if they trade off, they're pretty much just dead. Like if they like double block the Goblin Guide. Alright, Mog Fanatics, kinda whatever. It's another chump blocker plus a point of damage. They just gonna double block, or are they gonna block? Alright, block, and... Wait, why wouldn't you... Alright, sure. Why wouldn't you block with War Marshal? Alright, whatever. I think War Marshal would have been the better block. See what our opponent decides to do. Yeah, see, I just would have blocked with the War Marshal and kept my token around. I guess the only thing I can think of is you're trying to maximize your damage with Foundry Street here? Is that the reason? Alright, there's that. This smells like a bushwhacker kind of turn. 3, 4, 5. Fanatic. Alright. Your opponent would need... Alright, sure. I still would have blocked with the War Marshal. We go to 12. And then we get the Boros Charm. Go get that. And Skullcrack you. Alright. So couple of things going on here. Our opponent, it depends on the nature of the Goblin deck. The one card in their sideboard that can be a nightmare is Lavamancer is a consideration. There are a lot of cards in their deck that nullify this. Mog Fanatic in particular kind of nullifies this. So in this matchup, let's see where our situation lies. So we have a lot of 2-drops here. I could take out Eidolon. I could take out Boros Charm. Mainly because if they're on the Blood Moon plan, I want to minimize my white spells in my deck. So I think the cut is going to be 4 Boros Charm and 2 Eidolon. Is that too crazy? No, just cut a couple Lava Spikes. Yep, just cut a couple Lava Spikes. Path to Exile would be somewhat relevant, but most of their creatures are fairly interchangeable. So, this hand, yeah, this hand's pretty solid. Got Lava Man on 1, Blaze on 2. Actually, one of the cuts should probably have been, well, they can't have Dragon Claw, which would actually be very bad for us. So I think should have brought in some amount of Wear Tears, because their deck's probably packing 3 to 4 Dragon's Claw. Mountain Idiot. I gotta say, your deck has 1 billion 1-drops. Oh wow, no. Well, I mean, the only play we have is Grim Lavamancer, so if they have it, if they have Bolt, they have Bolt. There's only so much we can do. Go get the mountain. Play out Grim Lavamancer. Pass, and it probably dies to a Bolt here. Wow, doesn't die to a Bolt. That's pretty good. Yep, Dragon's Claw doesn't surprise me. Alright, so part of the problem is I can't hold up Searing Blaze here. So I'm just going to get in with Lava Man. Pass. Opponent presumably wants to cast like a bunch of red spells here. Yep, they're going to get 1 life off of this exchange, but at least... yeah, our opponent can't allow that Lava Man to stay in play. Excuse me. Very curious use of stuff by our opponent. Like, I would love to have the additional core Firewalker in this matchup. There's no doubt about that. Yep, taking 2 here. What kind of hand did our opponent keep? Alright, that one's not horrible. So... unfortunately, this is only give 2 damage to our opponent. So... I don't know that this is a game that we're winning, but we're going to give it a try. Well, it's got a lot of mountains. So I can probably unload their entire hand here, depending on what they've got. Oh, wow. Our opponent's hand's just truly awful then, isn't it? They kept it on the back of the Dragon's Claw alone? Which, I mean, to be fair, this card's pretty devastating in the matchup. I think we're just going to the face on this one. Not that it's the most effective in the face of this Dragon's Claw. Alright, so... still have the Eidolons in the deck. Sacred Foundry, huh? Such an uphill battle. Wow. What kind of hand did they keep? Just going to keep this fetch land in hand for now. Alright, this feels like a turn that I want to skull crack them. Lightning bolt in response? Sure. That being said, we draw one core Firewalker, and I think we're in terrific shape. There is only 2 of them in our deck, so... See if they play anything else before combat here. Keep them off of Goblin Grenade if possible. Well, it goes to 8 here. Alright, Helix is not a bad one. Keeps us in the game. No reason to cast anything right now. Alright, I mean, Goblin Guide's not the greatest, but it's a card. It's possible they have something like another bolt in hand, too. See what you reveal. Mog Fanatic. Moggy Oggy Oxen free. Not the most inspiring, but it does put them back up to 8. So yeah, their hand must be like Goblin Grenade, or Goblin Grenade Mountain. Something along those lines. This Goblin Grenade. Alright, so they go up to 9. Yeah, last card in their hand is either... last card in their hand's either Goblin Grenade or Mountain. Goblin Bushwhacker. So if their last card's Grenade, we're actually in trouble. Alright, why wouldn't you kick this? Alright. Because you just think this is lethal? Unfortunately, I mean, our opponent gets to go to 10 here, which kind of sucks. We go to 7, we go to 3. don't have Boros Charm in our deck to rip. Okay, opponent scooped. Why would you scoop there? That would put them to 4. 2. Okay, I guess they were dead. I mean, it's possible they still had outs in that situation, because, like, Bolt there from there and kills us. Bolt kills us. I'm trying to think, is there any other draws in their deck that would have killed us at that from that position? Yeah, hand seems fine. Burn mirror match, really? You know, I just got done saying that I didn't think I needed Core Firewalkers because I'm not going to play the Burn Mirror and I'm not going to need Core Firewalker. Who was I kidding? Alright. Swift Spear. No other 1-mana spell. Alright, so go get basic Moonton. Play out Searing Blaze on one of your idiots. Are you going to bolt my Swift Spear or just nope? Just getting that F6 value. It goes to 11 here. Yep. So it's pretty obvious they don't have a 1-mana play, or they would have played it last turn, I have a feeling. So we go to 6 here. 7, sorry. So, am I supposed to Helix their face or the creature? Alright, Arid Mesa here. So, I go to 10. What combination of cards would kill me there? If I put them to 2 cards in hand, maximum of 8 damage. So 7 damage plus... Okay, 7 damage is the most likely amount in their hand. 7 plus 2 prowess triggers is 10, which is precisely lethal. So I think I'm supposed to be conservative here. Helix this guy. I think I'm just supposed to be conservative because I think with the life gain I'm advantaged here. Alright, suspend the Rift Bolt and pass. Is Lava Spike lethal here? Go to 9. Start by Lava Spiking you. Does our opponent make any moves? See, this is where you gotta watch in the burn mirror, because oftentimes making the first move just gets you killed. So, like, I don't know if my opponent has like a lightning helix here or something, hence why I'm playing it this way. Alright, so we got game 1 on the draw. So in the burn mirror, want the core firewalkers, want some number of Path to Exiles for opposing core firewalkers, and probably want the Searing Bloods. On the draw, I don't like Eidolon at all. And what other card am I willing to cut right now? Really wish I had more Firewalkers. I think that's the second match in a row that I've said that now. Goblin Guides on the draw. Since once again, in these pseudo mirrors or mirror matches, oftentimes burn is the control role in the post board. In the post board on the draw games, you're often the control deck. So you want cards that trade favorably with what your opponent's doing. You want your Searing Bloods, your Searing Blazes, your things that can interact with your opponent's creatures and their spells. Path to Exile is solely a hedge for core Firewalker. Otherwise, I would not bring it in this matchup. Because your Bloods, your Blazes, your Helixes, your Lightning Bolts, your Rift Bolts are more than enough to cover the creatures. So, I bring it in solely as a hedge for core Firewalker. And this is another thing where our mana base, generally speaking, in the mirror is favored, but be 100% honest, the mirror is a crapshoot. Like, there are very few games where, like, outside of core Firewalker, there are very few cards in the matchup that are just, like, lights out. Yeah, I think this is a hand we keep. It's not the best hand in the world, but it's, like, we're missing white mana, which could be a problem. And if our opponent has a core Firewalker, obviously we're up a real shiitake creek. Alright, well, Swift Spear hit you for 1. I mean, if our opponent has core Firewalker, it's almost game over outside of Path to Exile. And the way they're moving, this is either Eidolon. Nope, it's probably Eidolon then. Oh, Searing Blaze on our dude. Alright, so I now have the odd choice of, do I make my land drop here or just pass? I think I pass. Yep, Lightning Helix. We really want to draw a land here, particularly a fetch land or an Inspiring Vantage. That way we can fire off our own Helix. I'd rather not fetch Shock, because that really gets us nowhere. Sure. Do you have a move to make in response to this? Looks like the answer is no. Play out another fetch land here. Still not sure why our opponent didn't attack. That's an interesting one. So we're going to 6 here. Now this is the who blinks first. Alright. And that is the chess match that is the Burn deck. It's often what the mirror matches come down to. Sorry about for the lack of commentary there. That was just, it's usually, I had the mana advantage and got a little bit lucky that our opponent didn't pull the trigger. Just the way they were, holding that, I figured they had a skull crack, so that's why I didn't want to go for Lightning Helix at any point in there. That's why I left up my white mana the whole time. And our opponent knew, Like, I could have, like, Lightning Helix in response to their fetch land, but if our opponent's making that move there, we get to untap and still hold up Lightning Helix, even if they don't make the move, so... A lot of people think Burn is just a mindless deck, but there's a lot of nuance in matchups like the Mirror, knowing what cards to hold up, knowing what role you're taking in various matchups, so... Two more matches to go here. Here's hoping we have to be on the play. Wish our opponent good luck. Excuse me. And so this is an interesting hand. It's obviously a keep. So we have 8, 6, and 8, so 14 points of burn in hand. This is not a hand I'm going to mulligan, but it is... I usually like to have creature, like one-drop creatures on the play. But I think I'm just going to cast Riftbolt here. Pass to our opponent. Island Serum Visions. Well, could be Storm, could be Blue Control. This particular hand's not good against Storm. And us drawing a land there is not ideal, but probably have a much better idea of what's going on. Oh, nope, still Serum Visions. Serum Visions, Serum Visions. There's a good chance I should actually have... No, it could still be Storm. That's definitely a possibility. I'd love to hit an Eidolon here. I said Eidolon, not fetch land. This is one of the dangers of Burn, obviously. You can just flood out and die. Yep, it's a Sturm deck. Our opponent's definitely on Sturm. Go ahead and Boros charm them here. They have a remand. You know, it's whatever. They're going to get to use it at some point anyway. So. Go get another Sacred Foundry here. Ah, Searing Blaze. Now that's a card. Alright. Is this Ritual into Gifts Ungiven? Looks like it. So we want to prioritize denying the mana here. Ritual. Yep, we want to prioritize denying the mana. Now if they untap and have a 4th land, this could get tricky. Alright, there's Electromancer. Hopefully this isn't Morphos into Remand. Nope. Sure. Now this is where Eidolon would just be straight up lights out, because they can't afford to cast all these spells. You passing, opponent? That's why denying the mana was the priority, because this now buys us basically any non-land, non-Searing Blaze in our deck is lethal. Actually, let's do this the proper way. Bolt you. And then Eidolon you. And now you can no longer cast a spell. Alright. Oh, good old Storm, huh? Quite frankly, not a lot in our sideboard for this matchup. The only thing I consider bringing in is the Firewalkers and maybe a Wear Terror or two if I'm putting them on Blood Moon. Actually, I'm going to board in a couple of Wear Tears and a couple of Path to Exiles as a hedge against Platinum Empyrean. And the cards that I'm taking out for this are the 4 Skullcracks, because they don't have life gain in their deck. And is the other take Lava Spike? I think it might be. So, if I didn't know about the Platinum Imperium plan, I would not put these cards in my deck. Blood Moon is obviously something they could do, unlikely, but it's a hedge. And Platinum Imperion is a card that just stone cold pretty much wins them the game if we don't have an answer to it. So I'm going to bring these in, and if we see the Empyrean plan, I'm going to have the additional pass and Wear Tears in my deck. This opponent immediately snap capped. So this hand, is fine. I mean, this is like the ideal burn hand in most matchups. We're going to keep it, but I mean, there are certain things we could have that would be a lot better. Like Eidolon on 2, or some type of answer to Platinum Empyrean. And obviously, if our opponent goes like Desperate Ritual Blood Moon, this hand becomes atrocious. Alright, I mean, hopefully our opponent didn't... Did they top any of the cards? Yeah. So hopefully they didn't top a land. There's a good chance they did. Nope, Desperate Ritual. Okay. So there's a decent chance we get Desperate Ritual Blood Moon here, and it kind of like locks out our entire hand. Alright, Inspiring Vantage, sure. So now I gotta hold up Lightning Helix this turn. Lightning Helix, Boros Charm. Gifts ungiven, sure. Hold up Lightning Helix to hedge around them having Dork into rituals. Alright, there's the third land. See if they have... Oh, no remand here. Alright. Fetch land. Fetch land itself is Dees. Echoing Truth. Alright. So we know they brought in their answer to... So is there any necessity to suspend this Rift Bolt? We can't hold up two pieces of interaction anyway, so... Opponent's going to have to go for it this turn. So, because otherwise they're just dead on 4. And they're going to have to burn a ritual to cast Gifts Ungiven here. So Echoing Truth, they're not drawing. And then these cards are both going bye-bye. Take both the rituals. I don't particularly care about Grave Shot. If they kill what's his name here? Alright, so they have a 4th land, which is unfortunate. Okay. There's Electromancer. Sure. Response. Kill your Dorko. Manamorphose, sure. I mean, I think you play Grape Shot here if nothing else. Manamorphose, sure. We know they got the Grape Shot in hand. So... Yep. Grape Shot damage to us, clear out our Goblin Guide. Probably the best they can do in this situation. And then... Rift Bolt your face. Well, I could just Eidolon here, but I think killing them is just much a better line, right? Boros charm you. Boros charm you. Alright, Burn doing Burn things. We will go ahead and be back in 1 minute. Sorry about that. We're back. Had to help someone with a thing here at home. Going for the 5-0. Be nice to grab a 5-0 for once in a while. I think our last one was Splint Twinless Twin, I think was the last one. So. So far we played against humans, goblins, burn, and storm. So I just keep reiterating, I'm just laughing at the fact that I said, oh, I'm not going to need another core firewalker in my sideboard, and then end up playing 2 matchups where having a 3rd or 4th core firewalker would have been really nice. Oh well. How's everyone doing this year? Enjoying your new year wherever you are? Hopefully this queue doesn't take too terribly long. Don't know if they prioritize matching up against someone of the same record. Kind of hard to tell without MTG bot set up to know records of opponents. Alright. Wish our opponent good luck. Guess I'd like to play first. This hand's fine as long as Searing Blaze is a live card. So put mulligans to 6, keeps their hand, and so once again, my criteria for keeping opening hands is usually 2 to 3 lands. 1 landers have to be pretty good and likely on the draw for me to even consider keeping one. Please don't have Inquisition. Of course you do. Well, there goes Eidolon. So this might be, yeah, as I suspected, there goes Eidolon. This might be Eldrazian taxes, black-white tokens, could be. It's unlikely to be Abzan. They don't usually lead on Concealed Courtyard. And we draw another land. Play out the Mire here. So this is the risk of the 3 land hands, is you can flood out oftentimes. That's why 2 is like usually the ideal number. Is this Intangible Virtue? Tokens it is, ladies and gentlemen. Tokens it is. I mean, on a positive note, the tokens deck gives us a lot of time. On a negative note, they have some cards that can be problematic. Things like Sorin can be a problem. Things like like I said, Sorin Solemn Visitor could be a problem here. Vault of the Archangel is another card that they run as the game goes longer, could become a problem. Too many lands, too many lands. We only have 8. They're effectively at 8, but And they don't have to fetch anymore because of Urborg. Okay, I stand corrected. Probably just get basic plains here. Why would you fetch Swamp? Okay. Sure. Opponent plays out Intangible Virtue. Alright. Not sure why you did then. Helix to the face. Alright, Skull cracks a card. So if they have Sorin here, this buys us a turn. Yep. So we pretty much need to rip Boros Charm here. Boros Charm or another crack. Otherwise, this particular game is over. Nope. Alright. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Nope. Alright. So cards that are decent in this matchup. Searing Blood is decent. We're bringing in a couple of paths just in case they have Core Firewalker in their sideboard, or what is the card they play? Auriok Champion is the card they're more likely to have. What cards are actively bad in this matchup? Most of our deck's pretty decent. On the draw, how much? Yeah, so it did. So it did. Alright, so what are we cutting here? Riftbolt, maybe? Most inefficient of the spells. Like I said, I don't love bringing in Path to Exile against a tokens deck, but there are certain cards that we just can't beat without it. So, that said, if this Path was another burn spell, we'd be in a lot better shape, but I think we still keep his hand. Swiftest of Spears. Good chance the Swift Spear just dies. But I mean, it's getting blanked by blockers if we go beyond this turn anyway, so. Is it possible they didn't have? Oh, Fatal Push, sure. That's fine. I mean, opponent traded a card for a card. They've got basically their... Ooh, Bitter Blossom's an interesting one. Alright. So, We've got basically our best turn lined up here. Swift Spear, Spike you. Go to 14. This intangible virtue here. Collective brutality. Fair enough. It didn't escalate it. Interesting. So I suspect we're losing Searing Blood here. Yep. Searing Blood made the most sense. So you discard a... Opponent discarded a swamp and then missed a land drop. I don't like that play. I don't like that play at all. Yep. Virtue's a card. Pass. Our opponent goes to 8 here. Alright, Field of Ruin, sure. We have Sorin, this game is pretty well over. Let's see. So I could Path and Bolt, but no, we're not winning that game. Alright. So it looks like our opponent's hate card is actually Brutality and not, Auriok Champion. So does that change the equation? Bring that out. I think on the play I'm interested in Lava Man. And then Charm, Searing Blood, Searing Blaze. Is there some consideration for these Wear Tears? Question is it the Lava Mans or the Wear Tears that I'm more interested in? Probably the Lava Mans. One, two, three, 4 lands? Yeah. No, that's a mulligan. I can't in good conscience keep that hand. Opponent keeps their 6-carder. Yeah, I think I'm interested in the Searing Blaze on top. See what our opponent has here. Leyline of Sanctity on top. Well, that one's a blank. Sort of. Yep. Okay. They may still win this matchup simply because we mulligan to 6 and we don't have a particularly good hand after that Inquisition. So. Dark Confidant. Well, that's a interesting one. So my question is am I just supposed to blaze this? See what our opponent leaves on top here. Godless Shrine. Alright. They're getting close to being able to cast that Leyline of Sanctity. You got souls. You got souls. Get a mountain here. Drop our opponent to 9. Hmm. 7. Seeker of the Way. Drop you to 6 here. And if you shock to play Leyline, I can drop you to 4. This is going to be a close one. A lot riding on this turn here, I think. Going for Leyline here? Does seem that way. Alright, let's make sure we target him correctly. Put you to 2. Ley line's in play. Come on, haste creature. Haste creature. Not a burn spell. Haste creature. Put our opponent to 1, but 1 is not 0. And this Searing Blaze is a dead card. Now they get to go like Seeker of the Way plus... Yep, Seeker plus Lingering Souls. I'm trying to think what my actual out in this spot is. Didn't bring in Wear Tear, so that's not an out. Take care of the Seeker of the Way. They're still going to get in for some damage here. Only so much we can do. Yep, that'll do, Donkey. That'll do. Alright, 4-1. Ran up against a deck that was well prepared for the match. Alright. Overall, obviously, as I said in the intro, I'm I don't want to say very attached to Burn, but that I am. It's a deck that I enjoy playing. It's a deck I do well with. So it's probably going to be one of the decks we play moving forward. Probably locked into that aggro slot, but I mean, obviously humans and merfolk and a few other decks might have something to say with that. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up the stream here tonight. Thanks for checking us out. Feel free to hit that follow button here on Twitch. If you really like our content, feel free to hit that subscribe button. We also have a YouTube channel. Link is down below the stream here. Feel free to check that out. We have a lot of standard and modern content on there. Right now we're going to be focusing a little bit on modern for the next couple weeks as the spoilers and stuff go on and pre-release and all that happens. Once Rivals of Ixalan is released, we'll probably start looking for our standard deck moving forward, but for right now we're going to focus on finding what modern decks I'm actually good at playing. So, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and hope to catch everyone again later. Have a good night.